Welcome to the first membership summit held in Rotary Great Britain and Ireland. And thank you for giving up your time today to join us for a conversation with global thought leaders on innovative new approaches to grow Rotary in 2021 and beyond. Entitled a membership summit, we were keen to stress both the importance and urgency of the task which lies ahead of us all, but starting now. Within Rotary Great Britain and Ireland, we have been hemorrhaging membership at the alarming rate of the equivalent of one district per year, which combined with over 70% of our membership being over the age of 70, means we really cannot ignore the situation any longer. Frighteningly, our predicted losses are even greater than those we have already experienced. It is the responsibility of every single Rotarian in every club across these islands to do their utmost to turn the tide and stem the flow of membership loss, but we do not expect you to do it alone. This evening, we will hear from two current district governors who have already and are continuing to turn the tide of membership within their respective districts and learning just how they have achieved their success. We will be sharing with you some good news stories from within Rotary Great Britain and Ireland, and there will be an opportunity for you to ask any questions you may have. We will round off the programme with some actions for you to take back to your clubs and districts and explain the support network available for you to call upon as you put your plans into action. I would now like to hand you over to my fellow facilitator this evening, Steve Martin.
Thank you very much, Lesley, and good evening, everybody. Yes, so the future currently looks very grim for our great organisation. Both Lesley and I have been in post for 6 months, and we've had the opportunity to look deeply into the figures and the graphs and the membership patterns that we are supplied with by Rotary International. And there is a golden thread running through all of them, and it is one, sadly, of decline. With a net loss of almost 2,000 Rotarians last year, and with us well on target to lose the same this year, we both agreed with the membership team that you, as Club Rotarians, should be made fully aware of the situation and what will happen if we continue at this rate. In 10 years' time, we will have half the amount of Rotarians that we have now. At this moment in time, 85% of our members are over the age of 60, and a large majority of those are over 70. We are recruiting Rotarians into our clubs, but we are losing so many more. Now, we have a very strong coordinated team here in Rotary in Great Britain and Ireland who have brought the district membership team leaders closer than they've ever been before. They meet monthly and they are in contact quite literally on a daily basis. The team is experienced and ready to help. But one of the biggest problems is the buy-in from some of the clubs in Rotary in Great Britain and Ireland. The message that we're getting is that some clubs are just happy with the status quo. Their club is okay, so why bother? Even more disturbing, though, is the reports of people in clubs that really want to do something about membership, like start a new club, but they're being told by the old guard, back off, it's not happening. This is causing disillusioned people to walk away from Rotary and to volunteer elsewhere. We have clubs who are reluctant to diversify and remain steadfast in remaining male only. In fact, there may be people on this meeting now that are against females joining Rotary. Just think about that for a minute. It's 2021, and we will have our first female Rotary International president in a couple of years, and our zone will have a female director from the 1st of July, who you will be meeting shortly. And yet some clubs feel that females are not good enough for their club because of their gender. It's not a great message to send out. Then, of course, there are that other type of club. The club that wants to do something desperately to attract new members or start a new club, but they just don't know how. And hopefully, if this is you, then we can help you by starting tonight. So all of this, coupled with our constant lack of flexibility in meeting times and the need to eat expensive meals, is damaging the progress of the organisation, and that image is being portrayed to the outside world. For us to change this around, we need to act now. We need to walk away from this meeting tonight and be brave and be innovative. We need to stand up to the blockers and the old guard, and we need to turn the doubters into believers. So tonight, we've brought you together to ensure that you understand where we are and what needs to be done, and to offer you some ideas and alternatives, and make sure that you understand that we're here to help you. But the instigation needs to come from you. We all love our Rotary, but we must love it more to enable it to grow. It is my pleasure now to introduce you to Nicki Scott, who will be the Rotary International Director for these islands and leader of the association from the 1st of July. Nicki is going to highlight the way forward and introduce us to our special guests for this evening and tap into their wisdom. Nicki, over to you.
Thank you so much, Lesley and Steve, for getting us off to a great start. And may I say also that good evening to everybody, all Rotarians in Great Britain and Ireland, and to our Rotarian friends across the world too, wherever you may be zooming in from. It's a pleasure to have you join us for this wonderful summit this evening. This organisation is just too amazing to stand and watch it dwindling. So tonight is all about inspiring action with practical tips for everyone, no matter how long you've been in Rotary or what role you may be serving in. When I woke up this morning and saw that all the snow and ice had melted and my garden was adorned with so many gorgeous snowdrops, no longer buried under the snow, but standing proudly on display, I thought to myself, how symbolic is that? New signs of growth and hope on the morning of our membership summit. So this is the sunshine section. Steve's given you the hard news, but I've put my special yellow jacket and on to bring a little bit of sunshine from now on, because that's what we want to do. We want to make this a very uplifting and moving experience for you all. So if you need to, do get up and shake a little sometimes just to get yourself moving. Nobody's going to see, so that's okay. I wanted to start off by letting everyone know that I joined Rotary when I was just 35, and it's been such a gift to my life. I've met so many amazing people across the globe and benefited so much from personal growth and leadership development. And my perspective is that it's only fair that others get that same jump start in life. So we need to bust through these myths that Rotary is only for those people that are retired, because that's just not true. There's so many ways to appeal to anyone in Rotary. It's just a question of meeting them where they are. Some of you may not know, but we have a new vision statement in Rotary International that was launched at International Assembly a couple of years ago now. And the new vision is, together, we see a world where people unite and take action across the globe, in our communities, and in ourselves. And it's that last piece, in ourselves, that I'm not sure we talk about enough. It's that piece that we get out of it. Yes, we are a service organisation, and yes, our motto is service above self. But I think we need to shout a little bit more about what we personally get and how we grow. And if you think about it, lasting change also needs to happen in Rotary, at least in these islands and anywhere else in the world where we're struggling with membership decline. So that vision statement brings on whole new meanings, and I'd not thought about it in that way till this morning. Simon Sinek, some of you may have heard me talk about him already, but Simon Sinek is a famous business professional or business guru in the United States. And he has written a book, Start With Why. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. It's that emotional connection that triggers action. And that's what tonight's all about. So let's make sure you take a moment as we go through tonight to tap into what is your why? Why do you do Rotary? Because I'm going to come back to that at the end. So talking of amazing people who know very well how to trigger action, I have the pleasure of introducing you to two very inspiring and committed Rotarians who are both champions of membership growth right here, right now, tonight. There is nothing like learning from others and gaining different perspectives and ways to approach the same challenges that we all face. And it's certainly true in areas in North America and in Australia, where our guests come from, that they are facing similar challenges. So with no further ado, I would like to ask Tom Gump and Andy Rajapakse to please zoom on in. Tom is a district governor, as you heard, from District 5950 in Minnesota, USA. I think you can probably relate to the snow over there, right, Tom?
I sure can, Nikki.
How many inches do you have right now?
We're 6 inches currently.
6, oh, that's not very many for you.
Nope.
And also here on screen, we have Andy. And Andy, you're district governor in District 9640. Oh, we love numbers in Rotary, don't we? And that is on the Gold Coast. And for those who don't know, it's near Brisbane, right?
Yes, and it's a sunny summer. We don't have any snow. And I'm on the beach.
I can testify to that because I had the pleasure of zooming into Andy's meeting just on 7th of January. I was zooming in and they were all meeting in person, which we'll get onto a little bit about a hybrid meeting. And it was just wonderful just to sort of see everyone basking with these wonderful views of the ocean right there. So I'm going to stop talking because we want to hear from you tonight. And I'm going to ask you, first of all, Tom, could you just tell us a little bit about what inspires your passion for membership growth, please?
Absolutely, Nikki. It's great to be here with all you Rotarians from Great Britain and Ireland. And it really is truly an honor to be here. As Nikki said, my name is Tom Gump. So just think Tom Hanks and Forrest Gump, Tom Gump. And my passion is inspired by all the Rotary clubs that we start and the new friends that I can meet. And it's interesting because you're wondering why I'm here tonight. I'm just a guy from the United States who basically have started new clubs, but I have a passion to help others start new clubs. And really, we're in the middle of a story. And if you think about it, Steve and Lesley, your Rotary coordinators, told you the prologue. It's just the beginning of the story. It's like the Charles Dickens story. And Steve and Lesley were the ghost of Rotary yet to come in Ireland and Great Britain if there's not a change made. But I want you to know that you are the heroes of Rotary in Great Britain and Ireland because you will be able to make the change. And we can't change the past, we can't change the numbers that have been, but we can change the future. And no matter how great Nicki is as leader of the association, and she is wonderful, and Steve and Lesley are wonderful, it's you that have to make the change. And I understand your perspective because in the US, we're in the same situation. In fact, a year ago, Mark Maloney, who's the immediate past president of Rotary International, called the North Americans together. He picked, along with the membership staff, 20 individuals who were proven to start new clubs. I was lucky enough to be one of those independent club advocates. And they taught us how to form new clubs. And they also inspired us to go back and form new clubs. So I came back to my district, and that's what I did, along with the help of everyone in my district. And it's interesting because last year, it really worked. Out of our 22 districts that are in our paired zone, my district had the largest membership growth. But it's not a coincidence that we also had the most number of new clubs that formed. So, and Nicki is right. We are going to try to inspire you, and we want you to know that you can do this. I started the world's first ever veterans club. And it's interesting because I'm not a veteran and I don't have an active or defunct military base anywhere in the state that I live in. So if there are two themes that you could remember when you leave here tonight, one is if that Gump guy can do it, I can do it too. And second of all, and you'll hear all the people can help you, there are people there to help you. So thank you for being the hero of this story. And please, Nicki, take it away.
Thank you, Tom. I had the pleasure of working with Tom when I lived over in the Chicago district of Rotary for 25 years, actually. And Tom and I work closely, and he's a real mover and shaker. So we're going to enjoy some inspiring ideas from Tom. Andy, I had the pleasure of meeting you a little bit more recently, but you've made a real wow impression. I actually first heard you speak at the International Convention, which of course was virtual this year. Unfortunately, we weren't in Hawaii, but that's okay because you still shared some great ideas. So can you tell us a little bit about your background and why you are so passionate about Rotary and what you're up to? Thank you.
Thank you, Nicki. And once again, my friends, greetings from the sunny beaches of the Gold Coast in Australia. I'd like to take you back. A 5th century Greek philosopher, Socrates, who was the father of modern philosophy, once said, "The secret of change is to focus your energy not on fighting the old, but building something new." The secret of change is not focusing energy on fighting the old, but focusing energy on starting something new. And in 1945, 40 years after Rotary was founded, Paul Harris wrote in the Rotarian magazine that Rotary must pioneer change. If not, Rotary will be thrown to the back seats of progress. In 2019, January, in San Diego, California, at the International Assembly, our Secretary General, John Hayeko, challenged the 2019 governors, the governors before us, before me and Tom, to grow Rotary by starting new and innovative clubs. Now, having heard these great leaders, I was inspired to be a champion, to try it out and see how we can start new and innovative clubs. And I think I was in the right place in history because in 2017, my district lost a club with 40 members to the adjoining district. It was a mutual agreement because they were quite far from the main activity. But that put our district numbers down to 1,152. And we had not chartered a club in 5 to 6 years. And we were forced to merge with 2 adjoining districts north of us. I was part of the negotiation team. After about 18 months of negotiation, we felt 2 is company, 3 is a crowd. And we walked away from the merger negotiations. It was a huge risk. My governor of the day, last year's governor, and me as governor-elect, and the immediate past governors took. But we as leaders have to take risk. But we sat down and we asked ourselves, what have we got to do to increase our numbers? And we had to do it fast. We said there's only a simple strategy. We have to start new clubs. And that's the only way to accelerate growth. And it's like, hitting sixers in a cricket match. Singles and twos won't help you much, but 6 will quickly take you to another place. And then we set about, but I was the only international marketing practicing professional in the team and the governors. And I took it upon myself to challenge me and start new clubs. And we went about starting from 2018, from that time, 2018 to now, we have had 8 new clubs having been started, and I have formed 4 of those myself. And within this year, starting 1st July, as I took over as governor, in the 7 months, we have formed and chartered 4 new clubs. There's a sense of urgency. I believe that we can start a club in 100 days, 12 weeks, not 12 months. And I call it the 12-week year. And that's where we need to go. We need to do this 100-meter dash and take our districts to another place. And my district set a goal at that time in 2018, let's be a 1,200 district, 1,200 member district on the 31st of December. And we ended up 31st of December 2020 with 1,279 members with a 9% growth and plus 102. We have been the leading district with a positive growth for 3 years in Australia. But we have inspired 8 other districts in the last 6 months to be a positive growth district because we need to grow, not as one district, as a whole zone, a whole world. And that's how public will look at Rotary. That's a growing organization. And so I'm going to share my magic with you. As Tom said, Tom and I have pioneered this and we have been successful and we know the magic, but you're the heroes because if we can share our little experiences with you, then I think together we can grow. And you have some great things happening in Great Britain, Ireland, your global hub, and all those are great initiatives which we don't have in our part. We'd like to hear about. Nicki. And Nicki, I'm your guest. You were introduced to me by my own incoming Rotary International director, the first lady from Australia to serve on the Rotary International board, Jessie Harman. And it has been a wonderful experience interacting with you and joining you. And my friends, I'm looking forward to an engaging summit. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Right. And I love both of your comments that are how much we're better together. I hope that's one of the key messages that people go away with tonight. So let's just lay the ground to start with. There are clearly 3 different ways to grow Rotary. Firstly, to bring members into your existing club, right? That's an obvious one. Not necessarily easy, but it's an obvious one. Secondly, of course, is to retain the members that we currently have. Now, that is a key one because sadly, a large majority of Rotarians join after, and then just 2 years later, they leave again, which is all too sad. And so we've got to figure out that one too. But the third one, which you're going to hear a lot more about tonight, is to start new clubs. So I'm going to start with you, Tom. Of the 3, what do you think is your preferred method? It's a bit of a leading question.
You know, Nicki, it would be number 3. And I think that when you're starting clubs, you know, if you are trying to change your current club to make it more attractive to individuals, you have to basically change your time, your place, your meeting location. And to do that, you have to change a culture. And to change a culture means you have to change people. We know how difficult that is. But when you start a new culture, start a new club, you can just accept that culture. When it comes to retention, people leave in the first 2 to 3 years because they haven't had a passion enough to stay, or they haven't made those lifelong friendships that we all have. So if we can work on both 2 and 3, I think that's our best. Thank you.
Great answer. But let me just push back on you a little bit, Tom, before I let you off the hook. Surely, if you're starting a new club, we heard from Steve earlier tonight that there's this assumption that you're going to steal from the existing clubs. So are you sure that's not true?
I'm absolutely sure that we have debunked that myth, Nicki, because, you know, we heard that a lot, especially from presidents of clubs. They're doing their best to grow their clubs, and that's what their job is. But when they say we're poaching their members to start new clubs, it's just not true. We asked Brian King, who's the director of membership development at Rotary International, to do a study. And so they studied the last 5 years, and they found out that 88% of new members in new clubs are new to Rotary. And it can be argued that 12%, those individuals could have been leaving if we didn't form a new club, or they could have, you know, come back because of the new club. Just to give you an example, when we started the End Human Trafficking Club, the first of its kind in the world, shortly after we chartered, there was an individual from Turkey that had been sworn in as a member. And I was thinking, that's just great, because we didn't have Turkey as one of the countries as a member. Shortly after we inducted her, her name was Erin Maloney. I actually received an email from Mark Maloney saying that that was his sister who just joined this club, and that he'd been trying to get her into Rotary for over 40 years. We just didn't have the right club for her. Right. So that's what we need to do, start new and innovative clubs. Thank you.
It is about meeting people where they are instead of trying to force a square peg in a round hole. I know where I came from Rotary, the birthplace district near Chicago, the town I lived in was 160,000 people, and we had 4 clubs, and they all met at different times. We were the breakfast club at 7 a.m. There was a noon club, which was the first club in the town, and they had a traditional lunch meeting. There was a 4:44 club for those who wanted to get together for a cocktail before dinner. That was a good club. And then there was also a young professionals club who met anytime, anywhere, whenever they could. So what was lovely is we each had a different identity. So people would figure out which one was the right flavor for them, but we were known as Rotary and we worked together. And I think it's like the same concept of having 4 garages on a crossroads. You think, why would all 4 be there when you only need 1 garage? Well, it's because the more garages there are, the more likely you're to go to that intersection, because then you can pick any direction and you still win. So I think that's a gas station, I nearly said, and actually they're petrol stations here, but I am bilingual at this stage, so I might get away with it. Andy, isn't it hard to start a new club? How did you do it?
I'll follow on Tom. I think it's easier to build a new house than renovate an old one. Building a new club is much easier because you're taking a new message to a new group of people. Like Tom said, there are so many people waiting to hear about Rotary, and we are not sharing our story. You know, our story. Why am I, like Nicki, what you said, why am I in Rotary? Because people are not asking us for the 1.2 million, 36,000 clubs. No, they're asking us, what are you guys connecting? You know, that's what Rotary has done from the beginning, connecting people. And that's what people like, you know, governors and leaders like Tom and I are doing, is bringing together people into new clubs. Because from what you said, people will not fit into our club styles anymore. We are in the 21st century. But remember, our organization started, Rotary started in the 20th century. That's why Paul Harris said, we got to keep changing as we move. So we are in the 21st century, very little time. Our lifestyles have changed. So starting a new club for me is much easier because all the new clubs that I've started are more like lifestyle clubs. They fit into the lifestyles of the people and they like it. Like the Passport Club targeted, what I started, the 25th one in the world, is a lifestyle club. It fits their lifestyle. Come once a month, have a wine and cheese, pay your dues monthly, and it attracts under 35s. So I think starting a club is easy for me. I have gone into towns, Nicki, and you know that I have started. If you want, I can share a story on that.
Okay, go for it.
All right. So I'll share the latest one is we just chartered this club. I still remember last year on the 19th of October, I had a club visit in the evening. And in the morning, one of my past governors called and asked me, Andy, would you like to go see a town nearby? I said, yeah, you know, I always like to be an accidental tourist. So we went to this new town, beautiful place. And I asked him, why is there no Rotary Club here, Governor Terry? And there are 5 Rotary clubs within 40 kilometers around, except in this little place. I'm from the Burley's Rotary Club, and that's called Evans Head. These are beach towns. Well, we walked around the town, the street up and down, and I just walked into the best looking office of a real estate agent. And I asked the lady at the reception, is there a Rotary Club in this town? She said, never heard of. I asked her, may I see your boss so I can help him start a club, Rotary Club here? She took me in, introduced me to the boss, was her father. It was easy. And I asked him, Brian, why is there no Rotary Club in this beautiful town? He said, I don't know anything about Rotary, but I'm the president of the Chamber of Commerce. I said, fantastic. And he said, Andy, we can't find members for the chamber. I said, Brian, let's start a Rotary Club because it'll help you to get members to the chamber, because I said the chamber membership is for companies. Rotary membership is for individuals. So all the individuals who come to Rotary can bring their business to be members of the chamber. We can grow together. He said, that's a good idea. I asked him quickly, will you be my community champion? Not to be a member of the club, just to bring the people. Answer was yes. And we have had 3 wine and cheese information sessions since that October, sent in the charter applications this week with 25 members. And the chamber president and his wife both signed up to be members who never wanted to be in Rotary. So, you know, it's just walking in there thinking positively. What could have happened is the receptionist lady would have told me, no, we don't want to see you, go away. Or the boss would have said, no, I'm not interested. Leave my office. Wow. But as a marketer, we are used to a no. But you have to take that risk. But see what happened is there was no Rotary in that town, but there was a Lions Club. There was a chamber. So I just saw that opportunity. And for 2 years, my governor said, we have been talking about this city to start a club for 2 years, but we talk about starting clubs inside our closed door rooms. You got to get to the street if you want to start a club.
Ah, so there we go. There's one little tip for takeaway there. When do we sell Rotary? When do we talk about Rotary? Anytime at all, even when we're on a vacation. I always say, it's worth wearing our pins, because I don't know about you, but walking through an airport or anywhere, I get asked, what is Rotary? And I love to say it's the best decision I ever made. And then I wait, because then they'll ask, oh, well, why is that? If I say, oh, it's a club I go to and we have dinner and it's a really great club, I love them to bits, and sometimes the chicken's not so good, but you know, generally it's not too bad either, then by that time they've gone and I haven't even started explaining what Rotary is. So let's get back to you, Tom. I'd like to ask you the same question I was going to ask Andy, but he's already explained. How do you find members? Where do you find members when you've been starting clubs?
You know, it's interesting, Nicki, because when you're a president of a club, you find members by talking to your neighbors, people at work, people at the gym, people where you worship, wherever you can find people. But it's interesting, when you're starting a club, I have what I call the most holy trinity of membership. When I'm starting a club, I look for different associations that may have possibly the same cause or the same goal as the club we're trying to start. For example, we're starting a Rotaract club for autism, and we are going to different organizations, nonprofits in the local area, and we sharing databases to get those individuals. We're also contacting parents who have children who have autism. The second thing is involving young people. We're actually in the process of starting a Rotaract club for environmental sustainability. We have 14 members from all over the world, Colombia, Egypt, and we partnered up with SRAG, so Sustainable Environmental Rotary Action Group, to come up with that. You know, when we started the End Human Trafficking Club, we actually reached out to RAGIS, the Rotary Action Group Against Slavery. One person who was their newsletter writer asked me to write an article. 2 of the board members joined. So that's the second, you know, have groups that you can associate with, have young people involved, and then 2, have a cause. Because going back to what you were saying, Nicki, is if you have a cause, people will stay more than 2 or 3 years. Our Veterans Club pre-COVID, people would drive over an hour and a half to come to those meetings. While our traditional Rotary clubs, I belong to a traditional club like you do, Nicki, we meet on Tuesdays at 7:30. We at a country club, we eat a meal. That doesn't work for everybody. So we have to add a 5th garage. If you have people with an RV, doesn't fit in a regular garage, build that 5th garage so that we can put that RV in there. Thank you.
What a lovely analogy. I love that. Right. Well, I think we've got an idea now that it maybe isn't so hard. We've made up. It's like some big hairy mammoth. And how can I personally make a difference? But your story is lovely, Andy, just walking into a local store. I know that even in a regular club, we used to, going back to Paul Harris days, he had one person per classification, right? That was how we started in Rotary. And they would rotate hosting meetings because it was really a networking organization, and they would host each other, which is how we got our name Rotary. So I think coming back to why we joined, when I was 35, I was all about networking, but I soon got the taste for service. So I think making sure we appeal to those different reasons, whether we're an RV or a Mini, and I love my Mini, by the way. Just another key thing that Rotary International is trying to focus on is to increase our diversity, equity, and inclusion. And this is so important. And we've been talking about it for years, that we should reflect the communities we serve. Otherwise, how can we serve them best if we don't reflect them? And yet Steve mentioned at the beginning that we still have some clubs that are male only, which is too extraordinary to my mind, really. And I wouldn't support an all-female club anymore. I think the real magic happens when we reflect the communities. And so, Andy, I'd like to come to you. Your district has the highest percentage of female members and the highest percentage under 40. What's your magic recipe there, please? Could you share that?
Yes, the magic is at your doorstep, because when in 2017, as I told you that, when 2018, when we walked out of the merger and we looked around the demographics around us, and in marketing, we say your best customer is actually next to your business at your doorstep. So we looked around and we said, we have a large number of partners of Rotarians who are not in Rotary, they just come as guests. How about inviting them? So we made a decision with all the 3 governors, the governor, governor-elect, and governor nominee, me. that we will not charge district dues for partners of Rotarians if they are in the same club or any club in our district. It's not a big amount, it's like $100, but that prompted the members to ask their partners to join as equal members. Now, it's a good question you asked, because it was on the 25th of January 1989, 32 years ago, that Rotary International permitted women to enter Rotary. And we are just 3 days after. And that increased our membership by 102 partners joined in that year. Today, we have 124 partners of Rotarians, and 118 of them are female. But that helped the clubs to bring in the female members, and it just grew. And today we have 500 female members joining. Most of the female members and younger members actually join because of our new style clubs. And for the younger members, the under 30s, we have also decided that we will not charge district dues for people under 30, because we really wanted to attract the Rotaractors to migrate. And that has helped us to have the largest amount of under 30s and under 40s across our zone 8. You know, you have to give an incentive in marketing. It's important, a little incentive, but they know that we care about it. It's a stepping stone. So we have decided up to 2022 June, there won't be any fees for partners, district fees, and there won't be any district dues for young people. And like Tom said, our newer clubs that we started were all more lifestyle clubs that were more flexible and more welcoming to the female members and the younger members. And there were very little traditions, but it was inclusive.
But Andy, who told you could go ahead and not charge them dues? Who told you could do that? This is Rotary. Don't we have a lot of rules in Rotary?
Yeah, we have, but you know, rules, you must break the rules. You know, that's the idea. If we did not break the rule in Duarte of admitting a lady, 2 ladies to the Rotary Club in Duarte in California, if they did not break the rule, where would you be, Nicki?
Absolutely. Sylvia Whitlock. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
If anyone on this summit has not seen the Together Talks interview with Sylvia Whitlock, Together Talks is as a chat show much like this that we do, we've done since the beginning of lockdown, and you can find those on the Rotary Great Britain and Ireland YouTube channel. She was the reason that women in Rotary, and what an inspiration she was. And she broke all sorts of barriers. She's the first African-American president, as well as being the first female president, you know, so unbelievable woman. So that's a fantastic answer. And I think, you know, it's wonderful that the world of Rotary, of course, our world has blended and we've moved on. Andy, in case anyone's struggling with your very full, strong Australian accent, it may come as no surprise to know that you actually were born not in Australia, but in Sri Lanka. And that's a reflection of the world we live in. So, you know, it isn't like it used to be when Paul Harris started. There's a chance to make sure we meet all of these different needs. So Tom, let me come back to you for a second. What is the biggest... Well, actually, no, let me ask you this one first. How do you know what kind of club to start?
You know, it's really important to listen to what the people in your district and around you are saying. It's interesting, when we started the Human Trafficking Club, it was because we had an initiative going in 3 districts that were connected, but they were saying that their clubs would allow them to have 1 speaker, and then for a year, they couldn't have another speaker on that topic because we're doing so many great things with fresh water and literacy. So if you listen to them and find out what they need, then you have a club that goes around them. Because when I was asked to join, you know, Rotary, I was going out to do service. So what do we do in my club? We pick up trash along the highway, we make sandwiches, we do those kind of things. But sometimes, especially younger people, they want to have really great impact, but they want to have impact in the area that they most care about. So if we form a cause-based club regarding what they want, then we can deliver them what they want, and they'll stay longer in Rotary.
And following up on that, I think that's great. Can I ask you, what is the biggest mistake people make when starting a club, please?
It may sound counterintuitive, but the biggest mistake is going in little by little and only doing a little bit at a time. You know, we started an eco club a few years back, and we'd get a couple people, then we would slow down a little bit. Then by the time we get the next 2, one of the first ones would go away. You have to go in with both feet forward, jump in and just get it done. Bring in the partnerships, bring in the young people, give them a cause to rally upon. We can be that magnet that draws other groups and other people in. And to answer the question about, you know, are we poaching members? We aren't, because we're going out in the community and we're bringing more people in. And that's the way you grow Rotary. Thank you.
You know, it's a lot of people on this summit may not know, but Rotary Great Britain and Ireland now has a virtual hub. And we started this virtual hub because we wanted to offer an option, as we've talked about, that fits people who would never be attracted to a club. You know, they just don't have the lifestyle that allows them to go to the same place all the time, or they might be traveling too much and be disconnected. So, or they just want to dip in and dip out, what we call episodic volunteering, not do something all the time. So we started this virtual hub to attract new people to join us. But there's been a wonderful unintended consequence of starting this hub, is that during this pandemic, we all know that there are some Rotarians who sadly are parts of clubs that aren't meeting. So we've been able to reach out to them and say, come on in, come and join us and come and have a coffee with us. So there are virtual cafes where people get together and have a conversation. And we're realizing that there's some magic in bringing these new people in with other people who we may otherwise have lost. There were 4 gentlemen in Wales, actually, who through the sum total of all 4 had 135 years of service to Rotary. And the oldest one of those was a past district governor aged 85. And they've still come into the hub and embraced technology. So it is possible. But I think this opportunity to bring people together in those environments and have them identify what they're passionate about, have them identify what do they want to huddle around and create a separate group. So it's a self-directed platform, and we have people who can come up with fresh ideas. I'd love to do the Rivers project, and who else wants to join me? And then they can work with people where they live too, because we make sure that the districts know that a lot of the district membership chairs are in our hub. So they get to know the people that are joining from their district, they get the membership credit, and they get some of the dues. Now, going back to your point about it taking too long to form a club, we all know it's challenging to get to 20 members to join, to actually charter a club. Obviously, there's a satellite option, which isn't quite as many of 8. But the lovely thing about this hub is they can come and join Rotary whilst they're waiting. And there's a virtual onboarding experience, which helps them learn about Rotary, of the whole world of Rotary, not just the club that they want to join. So it's a real way of helping with retention too, and keeping people together and connected whilst they're forming. And then what we love to do is then say, right, now you can go off and go to your forever home in your district and be a part, just with satellite clubs, right? We don't have a satellite club and then never let them go, because if they get to the right size, we should let them go. We don't raise children and lock them in their bedroom, right? That's not the idea. So Andy, on the retention thing, I want to come to you before we bring Steve back in to hear about some of the other success stories in these islands. You have an incredible record on retention, 96% new member retention and 92% existing member retention. I mean, that is completely off the charts. How are you achieving that, please?
I think as we grow Rotary, there are, I think Tom agrees, 3 ways we can grow Rotary. We need to start new clubs, but at the same time, we have to keep our organic growth up, because organic growth is like in a company, it's like the cash flow. It keeps the organization fluid. But the new client, sure, will spend more, but the existing client will grow by 1 or 2. So how we did was we engaged the clubs much earlier. And 2 years before I took over as governor, I created a plan, and I sat with my district trainer, who was my governor in 2016, and under him I was the district membership chair. And I asked, what is going wrong? And we identified what was wrong was that we are bringing 500 to 600 people to a district training assembly, and we are happy as governors. But what are they? Are they happy? No, they're not getting. So I said, we will not have those large district training assemblies. Rather, we will have it in small groups of clusters of clubs, 6 or 7 clubs together. And each of those clusters, I have an assistant governor. Get the assistant governors to be the grassroots leaders, and my training team and me would go to the club rather than clubs come to my big city. And what we created was a camaraderie. The clubs started talking to each other, sharing what they're doing. And then the clubs even came to a position now. They say, oh, if you don't like my club, there's another one in the area. It's a breakfast one, it's a dinner one. So, it's about Rotary for the public. But of course, to do retention, I set at Pets, and before Pets, pre-Pets, your friend and my friend Jesse Harman was my keynote speaker in November of the previous year, 2019. We have a thing called pre-Pets. And I sat with every president, with my training team, and we set a goal. I told them, please set a goal of +1, a growth of +1, that's all. So it was 57. +1 is not an easy goal, because to get a +1, sometimes you may have to invite 4 new members because you have natural leaks. But +1, so I have 100% of my clubs have a goal, +1. 23 of the clubs have achieved that +1. 8 clubs have gone into +5, +7, +12. But what happened is, it was a small goal. And I said, I will support with new clubs, but you keep your club growing at a +1. Mm-hmm. So this cluster-based training, assistant governors being the problem solvers. I said, if there's a problem, please talk to the assistant governor, not to me. If there's a solution, bring it to me. I like to learn it. So, we completely divided our responsibility. So it's a whole team that's working, and retention is very, very important. And actually, out of my 102 growth, we have about 60 comes out of our organic growth. And that is our bread and butter. We should not forget.
Absolutely. Thank you, Andy. Great answer. We're going to get to questions and answers very soon. So if anyone out there has a question they want to put, please go ahead and pose it. But before we do that, there's 2 more things. I'm going to go one more question with you, Tom, and then I'm going to bring our Rotary coordinator, Steve, back to tell us about some of the successes that are already happening in these islands, because it's, we wanted to hear different perspectives, but there's a lot to celebrate here already as well. So my last question to you, Tom, it's around who makes the decisions on how the club should run when you have started a new club? Who should be deciding how that works?
Nicki, that's a very good question, and thank you very much for asking it, because I'm thinking about your garage example. And if I'm from a traditional club like you are, meeting at a country club, 7:30 a.m. on a Tuesday, I might design that stall just like my club. And that's not right, because you know what? People already have that option to go to my club. We need to give them new options. So it's always up to the club to decide. We just chartered the Sunday before last, the Network for Empowering Women, the Rotary Club of Network for Empowering Women. That's a long title. I might have thought it's too long, but it's not what I think, it's what they think. They had their charting event on a Sunday. That's probably not the best day for me, but it's their club. You need to let them decide. And they don't have to have 4 business meetings. If they want to have, go to a domestic violence shelter for one of their meetings, if they want to have a social for one of their meetings, let them do that. When we started the Veterans Club, we brought in an outside facilitator and just found out from the club members what was important to them. And then we had the pillars that they decided. And you have much better buy-in, Nicki, if you have them decide. So it's their club, let them decide. Don't be tempted to give them the answers. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Tom. You've actually just answered the first question we got from Jonathan Garston, because he said, would you agree that a new club starting in town that already has a few needs to have very different goals and areas that they support? And I think that is it. We're looking to offer multiple ways to engage with Rotary. So Steve, could you come back now, if you would, and share with us some of these wonderful success stories happening right here in these islands, please? Because I think Tom and Andy might be interested in hearing some. And Lesley, welcome back too. And I know we're going to hear from you as well as we go on. But yes, please, Steve.
Yes, thank you very much, Nicki. The ghost of Rotary Future is back. What a great analogy, but let's not forget what happened in the end. Mr. Scrooge was a very, very happy man, so let's not forget that. I think it's fair to say, and it is right, that we should talk about our successes. And as Rotary coordinators, we have witnessed some outstanding progress in some districts in Rotary in Great Britain and Ireland, along with some really quite brilliant initiatives and commitment from individual clubs to grow Rotary. These people have seen the writing on the wall, and they've actually done something about it, which is really important. So what I'm going to do is share with you 1 or 2 of these ideas, which maybe help you think about how your club could start on the journey of growing Rotary. And remember that these are just some examples. There are so many and I couldn't possibly use them all, but some of you may recognise where these are from. So for instance, the club in District 1020, who identified a group of volunteers during this pandemic, and they gathered them together and they sold Rotary to them. They formed a satellite group, but they hit a bit of a brick wall when the mother club made it quite difficult for them. So, not to be deterred, they turned to the district team and their membership team for support, and a solution was found, and 14 new members and a new club is now imminent, with more members to follow, which is great news. Then a certain former Rotary Great Britain and Ireland former president, who also brought together a group of volunteers and formed a Rotary Community Corps. Again, there were some doubters, but she persisted and found a club to support this group. And I have absolutely no doubt that she won't stop until this becomes a fully fledged Rotary club, knowing her like I do. Down in District 1090, DG Marius, he's put together what he calls Unplugged Rotary, which I think is a really cool name, which introduces people to our amazing organisation. It's a different approach that we've not seen before, and it is bringing in new members to the organisation. The launch of the first Passport Club in Rotary in Great Britain and Ireland, the Rotary Passport Club of North Wales and North West England, born in lockdown and chartered in lockdown. And they are an incredibly active group of Rotarians. The flexibility that this club brings has brought more people into Rotary that would never have been able to join our organisation. The amount of projects that they have running in their first few months is absolutely incredible. It really is. Closely followed was the second Passport Club in London, the Rotary Passport Club of London, which is also making brilliant progress and is offering an alternative to the traditional Rotary. They have, this is a great fact, I think, 18 members from 18 different countries. They've got 15 projects on the go. And what I would suggest you do is everybody here, go and have a look at their Facebook pages. Remember the two Passport Club names, look at their Facebook pages and see what they've done. And remember, it has all been achieved during the lockdown in this country. It is quite incredible. It will inspire you and, you know, perhaps give you that little bit of a start for your club to do something similar. There are so many different examples of good practice in Rotary, but I've taken one example which I think is really quite special when you think about it. And it's a club called the Rotary Club of Wallasey. Now, they looked at themselves 10 years ago when satellite clubs were first talked about. Now, they are a traditional club and they decided to form another club, a satellite club, with no meals, no dress codes and no bells. Now, this new club, they meet in a pub, they enjoy great fellowship, and they have incredible projects incorporating global grants. This club is called the Rotary Club of Roydon Revolve. And actually, they have gone on to form a satellite club of their own. The Rotary Club of Wallasey have also formed another satellite club. They haven't rested on their laurels. And actually, as it works out, the Rotary Club of Wallasey are now grandparents. So the best thing about this story is, for me, is that Wallasey, who are a traditional club, they still continue to attract members to their own traditional Rotary club. And actually, in some ways, they are the perfect blueprint of what we need in a forward-thinking Rotary club. So, you know, these are just some stories. Please don't think that I'm intimating in any way that there is no place for traditional Rotary. Far from it. Far from it. They are the backbone of our organisation, and what they've achieved in the past is incredible, and they will go on to achieve even more great things. But how amazing would it be to see these clubs nurture new clubs and let them develop and take Rotary into their locality, into the next generation. So these are just some of the examples of what can be done, and members of Rotary in Great Britain and Ireland recognising that something needs to be done and not just talking about it, but actually doing it. Some have come up against opposition, but they've persevered for the good of Rotary, and the results have been fantastic. And speaking from a personal experience, I can tell you that the sense of pride in starting a new club or a Rotaract club is absolutely fantastic. So I can thoroughly recommend it. Nicki, back to you.
Thanks, Steve. What some great examples. I mean, it's so inspiring to when we can stop and learn from others instead of having to keep reinventing the wheel. A couple of other ones that come to mind for me that go back maybe to the roots of why I joined Rotary and the networking. We have a very young club in Maidenhead Bridge that started, and they meet in a coffee shop with their families on a Sunday, and very, very community based. But what I loved about their club is they use their vocational skills. And they volunteer by using their vocational skills. And I think that's another piece of Rotary that we forget, at the roots of vocational service. It's not just about raising money and giving it away. You know, giving of our skills and our time and our talents is very important too. And that's actually another one, if you think in this current COVID pandemic, how many businesses are struggling, to think we could lend our skills to businesses who are struggling. In fact, there's DG Tim Mason has got a whole thing going in his district where they're helping social entrepreneurs, and they're using their skills and mentoring and helping social entrepreneurs who in turn then give back to the community. So win-win-win all round. Right, let's get to some of these, a load of questions here. So I'm going to rattle through some of these and ask you to please contribute your answers. And given how many there are, if you can be as succinct as we can in our response, but at the same time, not compromising the substance. First one's for you, Tom, I think. Joe Mulhall asks, great concept of cause-based club. Is setting up such a club different from setting up a traditional club?
It is a little bit different. And it's different because it focuses in one area. Of course, we have 5 avenues of service within Rotary. And just because the veterans are focusing on serving veterans doesn't mean they don't also do Toys for Tots and do the other service areas. But in setting it up, we have to be a little bit more flexible, because when you bring in a cause, they're always a little bit suspicious of Rotary if they're new to Rotary, and they want to know why Rotary wants them. So a lot of times what you have to do is you have to show them that you have skin in the game. What we did in our district is we have a pro-growth policy, and I'm trying to answer quickly, Nicki, that says we won't charge dues for the first year, district dues. They still pay international dues because you want them to have buy-in, and if they want to charge your own club dues. But it's really important to put their cause first. Then when you start letting them know about, we helped as Rotary form the United Nations and we're going to eradicate polio, they end up bleeding blue and gold just like we do. But it's important to put their cause first, especially in the beginning. Thank you.
Thank you. That's great. And then Mike Constable has a question for both of you, actually, but I'll let Andy answer first. So you've got a chance to take a sip of water if you need, Tom. Mike Constable is asking, what are you doing about the sustainability of a new club? How are you ensuring it's going to be sustainable, Andy?
Yes, so Nicki, as I told you, we have formed many clubs. We are the district with the largest new clubs and new satellite clubs. Within this year, we have already chartered 4 clubs in 7 months. What I do is every time I start a club, initiate a club, I bring in a new club advisor. And I actually bring in my past governors who have a mindset like me, a 21st century mindset, not to create another old-fashioned club, but something new. And the club mentor is there for 3 years. And actually Rotary International recognizes the mentor for 3 years as the mentor, who will help the club with the initial first year is difficult. But from a marketing side, I have, as I told you, I have developed a great marketing team in my district. And we may have made starting new clubs a habit. But one of the things that we work with, a habit, when you make it a habit, it naturally happens to you. And then, so we have a marketing plan for every new club. We use a lot of Facebook and Instagram and targeted Facebook. All our club meetings of the new clubs are events on Facebook. So all the new clubs have about 8 to 10 people walking in saying, what is it? Because they're registered on your Facebook. So, you have to use Facebook, and I have used Facebook for all new clubs that are started since 2018, because you can really target, zero in whom do you want to reach, and they would come, and you create events out of it, and it's more traction for events. But we also use Facebook by paid marketing, so it's not free organic, it's paid, targeted. And with my district awards, I have made new district awards. I have an award called the new club of the year for the new club that has grown the largest number of members since 2018 after their charter date, from the charter date, and I have a club of the future for the club president with the largest number of under 40s, number, not percentage. I even have, for the existing clubs, I've missed it, I have offered a outstanding leadership award to every club president who has a net +3 growth, and that's a Paul Harris Fellow. A Paul Harris Fellow, because it's really tough in this kind of pandemic situation to have that kind of growth. And I have 8 presidents who have gone into a +7, 8. So I know I'll have to give them 8 Paul Harris Fellows. But it's important to recognize and reward. So the new sustainability of the new club is with the club mentor.
Yes.
That's very important.
Thank you. And just giving a chance to say thank you to somebody sometimes goes a long way. Alan Gibson is asking a question around when you start a new club, how do you throw, his actual words are, how do you throw away the generic constitution and with ground rules around the 4-way test and introduce your own? Now, I'll say a little bit on that, if I may, before I throw that out to somebody else. But I think, obviously we are part of Rotary International. There's a lot of pride that goes with wearing this pin, and there are certain bylaws that we have to work within. And personally, I think the 4-way test is a motto for all of us to live by. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships, and will it be beneficial to all concerned? And I like to add a 5th, will it be fun, right? You've got to remember it needs to be fun. But obviously we need some laws, but are there sometimes too many laws? I'm going to come to either one of our Rotary coordinators. In Rotary Great Britain and Ireland, do you think we have too many rules? What's your answer on rules, please? Lesley?
Yes, I think we have too many rules. And I actually like the philosophy that somebody has mentioned. I'm not going to mention any names, but someone has mentioned to me very recently. He said, we just do it and apologize later if we've broken a rule. And I think sometimes we don't want to encourage people breaking rules, but I do think sometimes we need to just stretch the boundaries.
Thank you. I think it comes down to which rules you're looking at. There are obviously certain constitutional rules and ethical rules and values that we all live by. But in terms of making it complicated, like the paperwork, talk to us about some of the paperwork. How hard is the paperwork, Tom?
Nicki, the paperwork is not as difficult as people think. You do have to follow the club constitution. You sign an affidavit on the 4-page application form saying you'll forward that. And if you try to redraft it, I've done that before, it gets kicked back to you and you have to do it. But the bylaws, you can be flexible, especially since the 2019 Council on Legislation. They allow you a lot more flexibility. And really to fill it out, you only need 5 things. The Constitution is a form, so you don't really need that. Payment, which is really easy nowadays since COVID, they take credit card instead of a check, but make sure your amount matches what's in the application. The application itself is only 3 pages. The 4th page is just a list of everyone fills out their membership information. But they've even made that easier, Nicki, because now you have a spreadsheet. You could have the same information and tender it that way. So really, 4 things is not difficult. And there's people to help you. You have Steve and Lesley to help you, Nicki to help you, your district membership chairs, the regional membership officers at Rotary, the Learning Center, just in English, they're translating it, have a new Learning Center module on how to start new clubs. There's all this help. So just reach out to us and we can help you. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. I know in the Rotary Global Hub too, we're also trying to take away some of those sort of hiccups or barriers you automatically hit to have to learn all the rules and how it works. And it's like, they just want to give service. So if we're not careful, it can be very off-putting if we front it all with all this paperwork. So remembering the values, if people commit to the values of Rotary and sign a bit of paper, do we really need a 7-day notice if somebody knows them in good standing? Let's go on to Sean Fitzgerald. This is a district governor nominee, and he is asking all the way from Ireland tonight, or he might be at sea for all I know, because he often is, about hybrid meetings. Tell us a little bit more about the hybrid meeting, and do you see traditional clubs adopting that one? And I know Andy has the answer to that, don't you, Andy?
Yes, Nicki. So we have, during the pandemic lockdowns, we don't have any lockdowns in Australia now. But during the pandemic lockdowns from March, April to May, my club, Burley Heads, is a traditional club, 65 years old, but it's the 3rd largest. And We have 42 members. It's one of the fastest growing clubs. And we came up with a hybrid model. We had Zoom, but after that, some of our members live in Japan, in England, in US, and they are not come back. So we created every first Thursday, it's a weekly Thursday breakfast meeting at 7 to 8. We came up with equipment for Zooming. So we have a Zoom speaker, plus all our members come on the first Thursday from around the world, and we have many guests, and they would Zoom in, and it's actually like a real virtual meeting. But we have the physical meeting face-to-face ones coming in. Technology is so easy today, and it doesn't cost much money. I think whole equipment cost us. You have to get a better webcam with sound and all that. And we had a past president, Alan Barnett, and he's really good. But we have a champion who does that. But it really engages the members in a different way. So with technology today, we can do wonderful stuff. But I see the future may go towards a lot more virtual, because you and I don't have to travel around in a risky situation. We are meeting. If this summit was to be a face-to-face, it would have been not that easy to get it together in 2-3 weeks. And I know you got this together, Nicki, in 2-3 weeks.
Yes.
And it's wonderful, real great achievement on your part, leadership and your team.
Well, yeah, it definitely wasn't all me. There's a lot of people put the effort in, not to mention people off camera tonight who are behind the scenes, who we all know are there too. So thank you. Steve Hanks has asked, with many younger people losing their jobs because of the pandemic, possibly not having the money for membership, how do we welcome them into the Rotary family? Who wants to take that one?
Well, that's where district deals comes in. That's, the district is in our control. As a governor, I lead the district and the budget. And I know a lot of districts are having huge reserves. It's not the way. Rotary International wants us to keep only 1 year's operational cost. We not invest monies. And, this is the time to invest in the future generation. And this is where we can not only waive off district dues, we can pay, like Tom says, Rotary International dues, as long as someone pays. But this is the time districts must step in. And remember, 22% of the global population is under 25. And that is the largest digitally savvy population ever to walk the planet. And they were born after 1995. And we need to get them, but they are not ones who want to graduate and get jobs. They will sit in 24 hours, they'll make an app, they'll make £1 million. But, they have the money because they spend more. I know in Australia, the younger ones spend more money on coffee because the cost of Rotary actually is $1 a day for us in Australia.
Right.
But a cup of coffee is $4.
We lose
it's a value system.
Yeah.
The value system.
Yeah, I know that there's some innovative ideas as well about second members from the same family being at a discount, family membership. Tom, could you offer a couple of ideas you've seen?
Absolutely. When we were starting the Veterans Club, some of the initial members really wanted to make sure if there were some veterans coming in that didn't have money, they could still join, especially some individuals who were formerly not U.S. citizens, but helping with disarming IEDs in one case, and they became a U.S. citizen, but didn't have a job or anything. So I went to the largest and oldest club in our district, and I asked them for $5,000 to set up a scholarship fund, and they did. And it's funny because we have that fund and none of the veteran members wanted to use it because they all said, we're going to save it to people who need to do it. But it meant a lot to them that we did that. So you can set up scholarships and there's all kinds of different ways. If there's a will, there's a way, and we could work with the districts to get that done. Thank you.
Absolutely. There's one here. I actually don't know the name of the person who asked it, but again, it's a cost related one. So I'll keep on the topic for a minute. And it's with all of these opportunities to volunteer out there, many other nonprofits. How do we encourage people to join Rotary when they can do a lot of volunteering without paying? So I have a little response to that, and it sounds like Tom does too. I think one of the saddest things to me sometimes is that people have joined a club and don't realize they've joined this wonderful world of Rotary at the same time for no extra money. And we do not sell that. We don't sell the leadership development that I mentioned earlier tonight. We don't sell all these benefits of global relationships and the people we meet. It's so much more than just volunteering. It's a whole network. It's a lifetime of friendships. What's your phrase, Andy? A passport to the world or something you say, right? How do you say it?
That's right. I have walked into networking sessions of young people like the Junior Chamber of Commerce on the Gold Coast, and I asked them, how do you like to have a passport to visit 36,000 cities, and no country and 200 countries, no country passport allows you to go to 200 countries. And they say, what? Yes. Why are you networking in a small place like Gold Coast? How about the whole world, 36,000? It's not just volunteering in one little area. It's connecting the volunteering opportunity across the globe. You know that during the polio immunization, most of us went across the globe immunizing children from the Philippines to India to Africa. And how do you get that? You don't get that in a small local town volunteering. They're good, you have to volunteer. But I think those passport club concepts comes in very well. So I keep asking them, do you want a passport to go to 36,000 cities? And it's amazing, for me to walk in, when travel permits, and I've done this, you walk into a city, you're never alone. I check into hotels where the Rotary clubs meet.
Yeah. Okay, that's such a great way of saying it. Is like, how do you put a price on that? Tom, a quick answer from you, and then we'll get to a couple more questions. I think we want to keep it going. Yeah.
There's so many things you can do in Rotary that you can't do in other clubs. When we started the Veterans Club, the first president actually tried to start a chamber of commerce with veterans because he was a loan officer, had a lot of people, but he didn't get any interest. But Rotary, it has that 116-year reputation. Within 2 weeks, we had a grant management seminar for them, and they raised $20,000 to redo the bottom floor of a homeless home for vets so they can make it a game room, so they could have the facility and the camaraderie, so they could play pool together and things like that. And I love it when you bring new clubs together because they do things that we just don't think of. They went to the Lions Club and asked for money because they didn't know they shouldn't. And you know what? They should. So that's just one quick example, but it does a lot. And Dave King, we're working on an article for the April magazine for Rotary in Great Britain about why you should join Rotary when you have the option to volunteer for free. So that's coming. Thank you.
Nice. That's a nice plug. Thank you so much. A great magazine that we have here in these islands, gets a lot of attention and spreads a lot of good news. So, which actually is coming up here about how do we keep people positive during this tough time. And I think just celebrating our success stories, we don't do that enough. So get it out, get it on YouTube. Never mind the pictures of people eating. Let's have the pictures of people and the success stories. Little testimonials from our phones of what the magic is, those whys. Why do we do Rotary? Sue Meader has asked, with UK clubs only meeting on Zoom due to lockdown, how do we recommend attracting new clubs? And I'm going to take that one, if I may, because we've got this whole initiative around Together Talks that I mentioned earlier. And the whole idea of that is that you can have a meeting online and everyone invites a guest. Goes back to Andy's, everyone bring one. You listen to this incredible speaker, inspirational speakers, and then you have a discussion around it and say, well, you clearly have enjoyed this tonight. Why don't you come back? Why don't you join Rotary? We have so much to offer. So I think there's a lot there that we're not taking advantage of. There's 21 topics already on Rotary and on the Together Talks. And by the way, just as a quick plug, next Tuesday, we've got Dame Esther Ranson, and boy, is she a hoot, all about how do you have a lifeline in lockdown? So a couple of questions here. I can't go through them all, but people about how do you stay positive? Use online opportunities to connect with people. And actually, Dame Esther makes a very good point, though. It's not, some people can't go online. So picking up the phone occasionally and using some of these other partnerships of just checking in with people, very important. Martin Ward has another question here. How important do you think relevant community-based service projects are to attracting new members? I know that we're getting a little late here, but I'm just going to give people a heads up. There are some really good questions. We definitely want you to stay to the end because we're going to have some real calls to action. So I'd just like to ask for the graciousness of staying with us a little bit longer because there's a couple of really meaty ones we want to get out, and then we will make sure we don't keep you here into the early hours of the morning or night. So who'd like to answer this community-based service projects? How about Steve? What do you know about that one? Yes, please.
Yeah, I think it's really important. I think if you want to get a group of people together, a new group of people together, you've got to invite them along to do something. You know, if you've got an area that you want to target to get a group of people in, you've got to invite them in, not just to meet them and to sit around and chat on Zoom, which is great to get to know people, but actually give them something. So if it was, for instance, an environmental group project, tell them, we've got this project. how do you fancy getting involved in this project? What we're going to do is we're going to do this. We're going to do a beach clean every month. We're going to look at this. We're going to go when lockdown, eases. We're going to go and do this and get involved in this sort of project. If you fancy, and if you know that a lot of younger people are really, really interested in the environment these days, not just younger people as well, but they are really interested in it. So if you have something for them to actually tap into, then you can eventually start dropping in more Rotary stuff. But actually the project is really, really important. And actually the Passport Club that opened up in North Wales and Northwest England, they had lots of projects already on the go before they invited people in and said, come and join our club, because they would come along each week and they would talk to them, and they would start talking about the projects, and you could see the people saying, wow, this is great, I want to be involved. So I think the project is really important.
It's very bonding when you serve together on a real hands-on project. And I think it gets us out in the community more to be seen. And it means we're not generalists so much. Sometimes if we just give money, we raise money and give it to other charities, there's no identity attached to that. If I remember as a club president, the district governor said to me, would your community notice if you weren't here? I thought, ouch, we need to be seen. We need to be out there. I'm just going to throw this wonderful little comment in here. Actually, it is a question from Mike Constable, because I think it's actually, that was the one about saturating the area. If older clubs say, does a new club saturate the area? You got a quick answer for that, Lesley?
Absolutely not. It doesn't saturate the area. Different clubs can meet at different times and offer different buy-ins really for the members. So no, I don't think we would ever oversaturate an area.
No, I think the more the merrier, because then we get more noticed, then we have more impact, and then more people want to join us because we're much more relevant in helping the community. Max Hamps, great comment here. If fees are a key issue, how about we double our numbers so we can halve the fees for new members? Love that one. Okay, I thought that was great. John Beer is asking, who should I talk to about promoting a project we are starting with one of the UK's largest universities linked to a number of specific live projects? These students are alumni. They don't need dinners or breakfast, but projects. Who can he talk to? Steve? Or Lesley, whoever's got the mic on?
Either of us.
And if they stay till the end, then they'll be able to find your email address, right?
Yes. Yeah, our email addresses will be at the end of the session. Yeah.
Okay, Tony Hughes, do you think there is an optimum size for a club beyond which it becomes difficult to grow? Tom?
That question's often asked, but it really depends on the club. The largest club in our district is 275, and they do just fine, and their membership retention is good. I've heard of some clubs get as many as 900. The key is to have flexibility, and if you have a satellite club or you have alternate meeting times, that's the key, but there's no maximum number. Of course, you run into facility guidelines that you have to have a place to meet if it's a traditional club. But like Steve was saying, go ahead and form satellites, different times, different places, different meeting formats, and you'll please as many people as you can and grow membership. Thank you.
I love that. Rick Cannam's commented, don't just ask your community to join your project, ask your community what project they would like to do. How about that? That's a good comment. All right, here's a challenging one. This is Lindau, and we like to take all these questions. So isn't it more about the quality of existing clubs rather than starting new clubs? Tom?
You could have a quality existing club, and that's very, very important, but you could have a quality new club. I was a club president. I asked everyone I know who was friends who I thought were quality to join, but certain people just can't come on a Tuesday morning because they want to take their children to the bus stop. So when we started a new club and we asked them to join, they joined. The thing is, we can't assume that we know everyone in the community, and there's not quality people out there who can do quality things. We just got to have our mind open to that. And I have to say, the clubs that we've started over the last couple of years that are new and innovative, they are growing. Back to Mike's question about sustainability. If you start a club and you bring in lots of organizations, they can grow from those organizations. And if you get them involved, like Steve was saying, and engage it, and they don't have to come up with their own projects. Our Veterans Club signs holiday cards with an existing club. So you can get them involved, just get everyone working together. Thank you.
Great. Jim Curry has asked, if reaching out to a community and chiming into, say, a cause, if you want to sort of get some people excited around a cause, do you mention Rotary up front, or do you bring it in at a later stage? I think that's another one for you, Tom, quickly, if you would.
You mention it up front, you disclose always 100%, but you give them what Rotary can offer them. You know, we have grants that they can do that you can't do in other places. We have a 115-year reputation. We have a global network of people all around the world that can help you do your project. You know, we don't do this, you know, and the most overlooked is the lifelong friendships that you form. And, you know, I would have never met Nicki and everyone on this call if it wasn't for Rotary. So don't overlook that.
Nicki, I can add to that if you want.
Please, Andy, do. Yeah.
You know, the question is correct. We have to go with the causes of the people, you know, because they connect with the cause. And Rotary as organization, when we take a cause up, that means people will rally around us because as Tom said, we have been around. We don't take normal causes. Now, like this year, on the 21st of April, 2021, Australia celebrates 100 years of Rotary in Australia. Our first club was formed on the 21st of April in Melbourne, and it was formed by 2 Canadians. So we celebrate, and right around our districts, we are running a baton relay. And in my district, I'm starting on the 5th of February, and it's going to every club, and it energizes, it engages the members. But in my district, I asked the clubs, what do you want the baton to be? Is it to celebrate 100 years gone or 100 years to come? Most of the clubs in the countries, they came and said, Andy, we want a cause. So we asked the community, what's the cause? And my baton relay is the only baton relay with a cause in Australia. And the cause is Rotary says no to domestic violence. And we developed purple shirts, t-shirts with the sign no to domestic violence. And we are running it. You won't believe it. The community has come on board. Every city, the mayors of the town, the mayors and the community leaders have come on board to walk with us on the relay in their towns, their closed streets. So we are running it for 100 days from the 5th of February till the 15th of May. And it'll come to the conference opening of my conference. But you have to take a cause that the public connects. I think that is where Rotary's match in service sometimes loses. We come with a project, but we should go with what the community wants.
Right. Well, thank you. I'm conscious of time, and I think, you know, everyone's done a very good job of staying with us so long. There was a question about fighting, you know, any experiences we can share on fighting the good fight against the old guard, the blockers. So any quick snippets about never giving up, be persistent, do it anyway. And then eventually, what I think the old guard don't realize sometimes is by having a satellite club or another younger club nearby, they can work on joint projects, and it brings an infusion of energy to both. I'm going to ask us to end up, before we go back to ask Lesley to close, can we just come up with one call to action each? One thing that we hope as a result of tonight's membership summit, something simple that people can do. Who's ready? Tom, you ready?
Yes, it's easy to start a club and there's people there to help you.
There's a good quick answer. Andy?
Easy to start a new lifestyle club. Match the lifestyle of the people. If you have to change, don't change the culture of your club, change the direction of your club.
Nice. Lesley?
Don't be frightened to give it a go.
Yeah. You can't, yeah, it's much better than try and fail to never start at all, right? Because then you can learn from the mistake. Steve?
The older and established clubs work together with new clubs.
Excellent. I think that's right, because together we are better, together we're stronger, together we're doing more to help the communities. And after all, that is why we're here. And the only one I would add tonight is that you have taken time out of your busy schedules, all of you who joined us tonight, to come and join leaders. All of you I'm talking about as well. Often you don't think of yourself as a leader, but all Rotarians are leaders in my mind. So you've joined leaders, we've exchanged ideas. All that's left to you is to take action. And with that, I'm going to ask Lesley can you pull us to a close, please?
Certainly. Thank you, Nicki. We have heard so many positive stories from Australia, the United States, and from within Rotary Great Britain and Ireland. But then, of course, we have lots of clubs and individuals who have worked so hard to form new clubs. They have fought hard against those who've said no. To those people, we say a huge thank you. Your clubs have left a legacy, and I am sure Rotary will thrive in your areas for many years to come because of your actions. For those of you here tonight that do not fall into that category, all is not lost, but the time for action is now. Look at your club, put your hand on your heart and be honest with yourself. Is it time for change? Is it time to ensure Rotary in your locality is alive and well for generations to come? We all know as Rotarians the hundreds of thousands of lives that are changed by the work of Rotary International each year. What if that were to stop? Think of it like this. Of all the projects you have completed as a Rotarian, the forming of a new club could be the most important project you have ever undertaken. This evening, we've heard some encouraging encouraging, if not inspirational, ideas, which we ask you to take back to your clubs and districts to translate into actions. Now here comes the hard bit. This is what we really need you to do. To maintain our membership numbers as they are, every district needs to start 3 brand new clubs, either Rotary or Rotaract, every year for the next 10 years. That is just to stand still, not to increase our membership. We do not, however, expect any of you to tackle this on your own. In addition to the experienced group of district membership team leaders across Rotary Great Britain and Ireland, Steve and I, as Rotary coordinators, also have a team of assistants who work closely with your district governors and your district membership team leads. We are all here to support you as you set up new clubs and grow Rotary in these islands. So please, from all of us, go back to your clubs and districts, take a close look at your local communities and come up with a plan to grow Rotary in your village, town, neighbourhood or district. And we will then help you bring your plan to fruition. The time to put all your Grow Rotary ideas and plans into action is now. On behalf of Nicki, Steve and myself, could I now thank our keynote speakers, Andy and Tom, for giving up their time to share their success stories, and to every one of you who have joined us this evening for caring enough about Rotary to give up an evening. Please do let us have your feedback, but most importantly of all, please do share with us your ideas for ensuring the longevity of this organisation we all love so much. Thank you and good night.
Lesley, I just want to say there were a lot of questions we didn't get to, so we're going to save them and we'll work on following them up. And just let me add my thanks to all of you, all of the work you put into this, and thank you to everyone who joined us. Thank you.
Thank you.